Hello, welcome, and thank you for your interest in the Untitled role-playing game system. This session is an introduction to core concepts. Untitled is a unique, skills-based, universal role-playing game system. It is not bound to any singular world, time period, nor setting. There are no classes or levels. Everything is a skill, and anyone may acquire any skill. Challenges are simple, combat is familiar and generally fast-paced, adversaries are easy to create, and the system is easy to learn. One of our goals in creating the Untitled role-playing game system was to allow players the freedom and flexibility to create characters as diverse and unique as they are. There are 4 principal types of entities in Untitled: player characters and non-player characters, villains, creatures, and beasts. Creatures differentiate themselves over beasts by having their own will and sense of self. These are intelligent animals, animal companions, or similar entities. One example might be a dragon, which according to most lore would be considered a creature, not a beast. Beasts are more typical animals you may find within a forest or even on a farm, such as wolves, dogs, cats, cows, and so forth. They operate on instinct rather than their own will, but they can be influenced or trained by others. Every entity within the Untitled role-playing game system will have 5 core character attributes. These character attributes are strength, agility, intelligence, virtue, and vigor. During initial character creation, dice are typically used to determine the value of these character attributes, and those values will determine the character's potential as they progress. Character qualities match up one for one with character attributes and determine how well characters are capable of applying or reaching their potential. Brawn is a measurement of how your character applies their strength today. Reflex is how well their character moves, their quickness and dexterity. Prudence is how well your character translates acquired knowledge into wisdom. Steadfast is the intersection of virtue and your character's will. Fortitude is your character's overall physique or prowess. Many skill checks or challenges will be determined by rolling character qualities. Character qualities, unlike attributes, are skills that may be advanced by applying skill points to purchase skill levels. There are 3 pools every entity in the Untitled RPG system will need to consider: health, stamina, and faith. Stamina and faith are fuel pools that may be used for certain activities. Stamina is typically linked to a martial activity and may be used as fuel for what we call flourishes. We'll get to what flourishes are a little bit later. Faith is primarily the fuel used by constructors, which is the Untitled RPG system's magic user. The Untitled RPG system is a skill-based system. Everything is a skill, and skill levels progress along a skill ladder, which is defined by the table in the center of this slide. Each tier within the skill ladder defines a separate set of dice, and the skill level associated with that particular tier. As one spends skill points to advance between novice, journeyman, expert, and master, the dice change as well as the bonuses that may be applied to those dice rolls. There are common or general skills, as well as custom skills, and offensive and defensive skills that can be recorded on your character sheet. Custom skills may include things like all constructor abilities, animal companion abilities, knowledges, or trade skills such as locksmithing, alchemy, linguistics, or perhaps even trap sensing. Unique or character-specific skills may also be created, but are at the storyteller's discretion. Storytellers in the Untitled role-playing game system may assign a difficulty rating to encounters, checks, and challenges during a given adventure. These difficulty ratings are comprised of 2 components: the skill tier and the difficulty factor within that skill tier, such as novice normal, journeyman easy, or expert difficult. These coincide with the table in our core rulebook in the skills check section, as well as in the back in the storyteller reference section called the skill difficulty table. The numbers or results are categorized by novice, Journeyman, Expert, Master, and Grandmaster, easy, normal, and difficult within each, as well as a passing score, a detailed score, and a more detailed score for your storyteller. The Untitled role-playing game system is intended to be a universal system. With respect to weapons, weapons are a skill, and there are two skills associated with weapons and their use. There is the weapon skill itself, which is used to determine the dice used in trying to hit an adversary, and is typically named directly for the weapon being used, such as this example, longsword. And combat form, which is used to determine the dice that will ultimately deal damage upon a successful hit. The combat form tells us a little bit about how you're using the weapon. There is a single combat form, a dual-wielding combat form, two-handed, ranged, and thrown. You must have both a weapon skill and combat form for that weapon in order to use a weapon in the Untitled role-playing game system. Just like weapons, armor and shields are also considered skills. Both armor and shields will come in three categories: light, medium, and heavy. Each of these categories will have different dice associated with them, as well as different pros and cons for equipping that armor or shield. In the Untitled role-playing game system, armor does not directly contribute to character defense. Instead, it represents the mitigation factor for incoming damage, more like real life. If your character is going to take damage, you may roll the dice associated with your type of armor to determine whether some or even all of the incoming damage is mitigated by your armor. Shields, on the other hand, may be born, and the people who bear them can spend stamina in order to add up to their skill level as a bonus to their defense. So shields may provide a direct bonus to character defense. Flourishes in the Untitled role-playing game system are defined as special abilities or attacks that are custom and unique to your character. The system, as defined in our core rulebook, allows players to define custom abilities for their particular characters. These flourishes are truly custom and may even be unique to that character. Players write their own flourishes, define them based on the rules provided in the core rulebook, and submit them to their storyteller. The storyteller may approve or disapprove of flourishes. Constructors are those player characters who have the ability to form constructs from the raw materials and elements around them. In this way, constructors are users of the Untitled RPG's magic system. Constructors have skills just like any other player character may. Constructor-specific skills are listed in the core rulebook under 13 categories. These skills may be added as custom skills on a character sheet and used and progressed just like any other skill. When constructors use a constructor-specific skill, such as constructor growth, they expend at least 1 point of faith in doing so. The Untitled RPG magic system does not focus on spell books or lists of spells, nor does it focus on schools of magic. Instead, the Untitled RPG system focuses on freedom and creativity, allowing players to propose an action, and the storyteller may approve, disapprove, or modify that action. In doing this, the storyteller provides a check and balance for the player's creativity. If we take constructor growth as an example, constructor growth could be used to mend bones or heal wounds together. However, it could also be used to allow the party to escape by taking an ordinary houseplant and making it grow to the size of a large tree. The Untitled role-playing game system is intended to have a familiar feel with other tabletop role-playing game systems. With regard to movement and threat, every square on a map is considered to be a 5-foot square. At the beginning or end of a round, a single 5-foot movement is often considered free. Most entities will have a base movement speed of 30 and will run for double their movement speed. Threat is determined when an entity is armed and within range and/or line of sight of the character they are attacking. Flanking provides a bonus when entities are aligned on opposite sides of their target. Rounds are constructed in 6 in-game seconds, not real-life seconds. Rounds are divided into 6 types of actions: There are move actions, standard actions, full round actions, immediate actions, swift actions, and free actions available. The typical round is constructed of up to 2 movement and 1 standard action. Combat and damage within the Untitled role-playing game system is a skill versus skill conversation. With regard to combat, combat defense is a skill that defines an entity's most basic ability to defend itself. Combat defense is a skill that should be added to every character sheet and is advanced just like any other skill. In combat, an attacker rolls their weapon skill plus skill level against the opponent's combat defense plus skill level. Ties will go to a defender. If so equipped, a shield may contribute a bonus to defense. With regard to damage, damage is determined after a successful hit. Damage is the result of the combat form skill tier dice plus skill level, or the constructor's skill tier dice. Some or all of the incoming damage may be mitigated by armor if so equipped. The Untitled RPG system also allows for critical fails and critical hits. Adversaries in the Untitled role-playing game system are just as easy to create as player characters, if not more so. Depending on the level of detail desired, the storyteller may document their adversaries in long form, such as the skeleton on the right, or as a small box, such as the wolf in the middle of this slide. This wolf is an example of an adversary short box that is used in our free adventure called Barren Fields, which is available on our website at untitledrpg.com. Adversaries will often be included in story modules that are written for the Untitled RPG. We also have an adversarial index or bestiary that it will be forthcoming. You may also convert your favorite existing enemies into the Untitled RPG system relatively easily. The Untitled RPG core rulebook is available on Amazon.com in both softcover and hardcover print editions, as well as digital PDF at drivethroughrpg.com. Thank you very much for your time, your consideration, and your interest in the Untitled role-playing game system. For more information, please visit us on our website at untitledrpg.com. There you will find character sheets, adversary sheets, as well as our free complete adventure module called Barren Fields. Thank you once again.